Hi guys, it's Kata. I just wanted to jump on here real quick and make a video for you guys. I've actually been uploading pretty consistently every week, at least for the past few ones of these. So hopefully we can actually keep that going and have a nice little routine going where I do this every Wednesday. So I think my topic for today is going to be deities as they apply to and go along with paganism, and kind of how to decide what you want to work with. So I have kind of two ways that I usually suggest people find who they want to work with. And it's usually to just do a little bit of reading on what kind of stories, as far as like mythological stories, really resonate with you. If there's something like that that you already know that you love, that would be a great place to start and just kind of start looking into that. If there's any specific pantheons that you find that you love, definitely take a look at those and see kind of who are the big players, I guess, in that pantheon, and see if that resonates with you. If it doesn't, that's okay. Keep looking at other pantheons. There's definitely a lot to choose from. Another way that I find works the best for me is to, if you are privileged enough to know your ancestry a little bit, try finding pantheons that kind of correspond to that. So for people who are like Irish or British or something like that, the Celtic deities might be a really cool place to look. People don't really tend to look at Celtic deities unless you are doing like Wicca or witchcraft, or some sort of druidry, but you could certainly do that in any practice. Whatever practice you're doing, if you feel like you're connected to it, then that is just perfect. But you could do witchcraft or anything like that, except for maybe druidry. I think that is kind of its own thing. With pretty much any pantheon, it's not very uncommon that people will practice with even things like Norse or Egyptian pantheons. It's definitely something you can do. A lot of pagans do incorporate kind of Egyptian elements into their practice, such as the goddess Isis, or any of the Egyptian gods and goddesses like Anubis and that sort of thing. Mostly tied to like celestial bodies, so like for the sun and stuff like that. I know in Norse mythology, Freya is a big one. People really like Freya and Odin and like that kind of thing. I personally don't do Norse mythology just because it doesn't resonate with me personally, but it is pretty cool. So I mean, by all means, if that's something that interests you and you wanna look into it, then absolutely. There's a lot of really good, really cool resources out there for learning stuff like that. But I think definitely the most popular, as far as like what you'll see the most of and what's probably the easiest to get your hands on, it's probably things like Celtic mythology, and like the more Hellenistic side. So like Greek and Roman goddesses and gods. So things like Artemis and Hecate and if you're doing Roman, Diana, Persephone in Greek mythology is a really important one that people deal with a lot in the springtime because she's the goddess of spring. Demeter is another one like that. A lot of times people will work with Gaia as just kind of like your stereotypical kind of Mother Earth sort of deity. She's definitely good for that. She's kind of like the most notable Mother Earth goddess. So it's definitely really interesting and really worth looking into. But I usually say if there's a specific story, that's a great place to start. If there's a story that just really interests you already, but I think there's a whole lot of really good pantheons out there. I know a lot of people who work in their like ancestral pantheons, like people who are incorporating different African deities from different regions in Africa. So that's something you could do as well. If you know like your ancestry as far as regionally where you're from. So it's definitely really cool to look into if you know that kind of stuff. And I find using your ancestral pantheons can actually help kind of strengthen your bond to your craft, which is really cool. But that being said, now that we've talked about all the deities you can choose, you do not by any means have to do any deity at all. You could do your craft just for yourself, and that is perfectly okay too. I know plenty of people who do witchcraft as sort of a manifestation of what they want and the change they want to see in the world, and they do it for themselves and they don't believe that there's anything that they're really doing it for, if that makes sense. So you certainly don't have to be a religious person to be into this. It's really just whatever resonates with you. So if you do want something that you can work with, there's a lot of different deities to look at. If you don't want to do anything like that at all, you don't have to. There are people who work with within the Christian religion who practice aspects of witchcraft for their faith as a sort of prayer, which is also really cool. Whatever you want to do, there's a lot of really cool options out there. But yeah, so I hope this has given you something to think about, and I hope it helps you guys kind of get the ball rolling on what you want to be working with in your practice. But yeah, so if you like this video, feel free to tell me what you think down below in the comments. If you had any really cool ideas for what you think your pantheon should be, you can go ahead and drop those down below. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.